up, everybody, and welcome to Tilt Arcade. This is Jacob here. Today we're going to be doing Teppen. Well, we do a lot of Teppen, obviously, right, as you can tell from most of my videos. I promise I will make some videos about some other games, but today we're going to be doing it Teppen style. Let's just go ahead and double back here real quickly. I don't know for most of you guys if you remember my last video earlier this week. I had said that I was having some difficulties actually ranking up. I think I was D5. Well, I'm happy to report, as you can see on the screen, that I have gone up by one solid tier. I'm now at C5. And I gotta tell you, the competition's again kind of increasing. Every time you kind of go up and rank in the tier, the competition gets more and more fierce. But in a way, it's kind of a good thing because it kind of causes you to kind of reevaluate your deck and kind of up your game a little bit. I would like to share with you guys what I've been doing to try to rank up and tier up as I go along. I noticed that once I get kind of familiar with a deck, I start doing really well, which obviously that makes sense because you're really learning how to master the deck that you've already put together. But once you get to a certain point, you need to modify your deck, you need to change your deck, and you might even start to lose, go on a bit of a losing streak. And what I have found that kind of helps me is when I start losing too much with a particular deck, I like to switch to an entirely different character. And the reason why I like doing that is kind of like getting a fresh restart on things. It causes me to kind of go back into my creative mode, reevaluate a different deck, try to build that deck up, and reapproach the whole matches, the ranked matches altogether. And I was definitely able to do that. And let's see, I think when I was at D5, I had just switched over to Ryu. Previous to that, on that other tier, I was playing with Chun-Li. I did really well with Chun-Li up until I got to around D5. And then I started losing pretty much like over and over and over again. I would, lose matches like left and right. So I decided to kind of switch things up a little bit, and I switched over to Ryu, kind of up that deck a little bit, and actually rode that all the way to C5 where I am now. And then I started losing again because I had to go back and reevaluate my Ryu deck and kind of make changes to that deck. So what I've actually started doing is I've done it again, and I switched to another character, Albert Wesker. So I've kind of beefed that deck up a little bit. So I've been playing with that deck, but like I mentioned before, the competition is getting a little bit more intense. But so far I seem to be liking the deck that I have so far. So hopefully maybe I can make Albert Wesker, my next character to ride all the way up to hopefully B5 very soon. So another thing I wanted to cover is the use of souls. I think I did a video, maybe it was about a couple of videos, 2 or 3 videos prior to this one, about using souls and how you can use souls to actually craft cards that maybe you want more of, or cards that you don't already have. So if you go to the cards tab and then go to view craft cards, and as I showed you before, there's an option right above here, right next to all, that says reap all. And if you hit that, what it allows you to do is any additional cards that you already have that go above your deck limit are going to be reaped, and you're going to get that amount of equivalent of souls, whatever those cards are worth. So if I reap the cards that I have now, then I'll bump up from 334 souls, which I have now, to 404 souls. So let's go ahead and do that. Reap extra cards, I'm fine with that. So you see now at the very top next to reap all, I went up to 404 soul. Another thing you can do is if you've kind of gone through the cards like I do sometimes, and you see a card and you know for sure that you're really not going to be using that card for whatever reason, or you have no reason to use that card, you can always go ahead and reap it just to kind of squeeze out some extra souls. But I would caution you about this though, because I was actually doing that to see if I can gain some extra cards that I really wanted to play. I think in my Ryu deck, and I accidentally reaped one of the cards that I had in my Chun-Li deck. So if we go back here, and if you look at edit decks, and if I go to Chun-Li, you'll notice that there's an explanation point right next to the character. And if you select that, what it's going to tell you is that this deck contains cards that I don't own. So I previously had them, but because I reaped some of them, I no longer have an actual completed deck here in this Chun-Li deck. So I'm gonna be at a disadvantage. I don't even know if you can actually play without having a full set of cards. You may not be able to play, or maybe you can play and you're just gonna be at a disadvantage. But I'm gonna have to go back and correct that later. But I did want to give you a heads up, if you're going to use that method to kind of reap some more souls, some additional souls, just use some extra caution. And also remember that what you get in reap souls, it's going to cost you a lot more souls to recreate that card. So be mindful of that before you reap. But that is another good way to actually gain some extra souls. If you want to get that really fancy, that really expensive, high-end, high-effects kind of card that goes for over 3,000 souls. That's another way you can kind of build your way up to that. So the explanation point is a circle, but if you go down to I created another hybrid Mega Man deck called whatever, because I was just kind of trying to test things out here. I was trying to create a deck that had more than one element. And as you guys probably know, that when you combine another element other than what your hero already is, you get penalized. So when you start a battle with a mixed deck like that, rather than being able to go to 10 MP, you're going to be cut back down to 5 MP. Which, I mean, there are some players out there that are exceptionally good, extremely good. I played against some of them and they beat me hands down. And they have a mixed deck, but it's not easy to put together a mixed deck and actually be very effective at playing the game. So I am kind of experimenting with that. If by any chance I actually do create a deck that's decent enough that's mixed, I'll make a video about how I did that, how I went about that. But if you notice, right, like this whatever deck is actually not done properly, you'll notice that the exclamation point has a triangle, and what that means is that it contains cards that exceed the max MP. So right now, because I have more than one element, my max MP is 5. So if you look at the deck, you're probably going to find cards that exceed that 5. So let me see if I can kind of scroll down and find out what's going on with that. Yeah, for example, I've got 2 here, the Paradox, which costs 6 MP, and the X card, which costs 7. So, in order to make this card better, I would first have to start with removing those 2 cards and picking other cards that cost no more than 5 MP. And I would be able to play with that deck no problem. So, yeah, here's another one that I created with Dante called the Pokemon. Just kind of screwing around here. But that also has a circle explanation point, which means that I've deleted some cards that were in that deck. So, but those are just decks that I'm kind of experimenting with. I don't really play with them a whole lot, but on occasions. Alright, so that's a couple of things you can do to actually just kind of beef up your deck a little bit, and a tip, about how to get out of a rut if you're in a rut and you're stuck in a particular rank match or a tier. What you can do to kind of spice things up a little bit, go back to your creative side, switch decks, and start anew and build that deck up and see if you won't have more success that way. And just kind of rotate your decks out so that way you don't get bored and tired of your decks. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to go ahead and play. Let's see, I don't want to actually use Mega Man now, especially that experimental deck, because I know that I would definitely lose if I played with that deck in a ranked match.
The right to be a god.
Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and do a battle. So far for C tier, it's been kind of difficult. I've been kind of like winning a match and then losing a match and winning a match, so I've been kind of 50-50 on that. I'll get to a star, then next match I'll lose a star all over again, so it's been kind of up and down. I will be playing with Albert Wesker a little bit longer, but if I feel like I'm not really being very effective with him, I might just try to rotate to a different deck and see if I can't have better success with that other deck. Alright, let's give it a try and go for a match. By the way, guys, just for a conversational topic here, let me know what you're doing to kind of like level up your game. Let me know what you're doing to rank up down below in the comment sections. I like to get a conversation going about that. Exchange some tips and some hints and that kind of stuff. So just let me down below. Let me know down below in the comment section there. Alright, let's start. Also, guys, make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Go ahead and do that. And once you do, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified every time I make my videos. And as always, smash that like button. All right, let's go.
Struggles are futile. for your interference. Preparation. You think you can stand against a god? Sam, you're ready to play. Behold my omnipotent power. Go. Your struggles are futile.
Whew. That was a good match. Very close.
That was nothing but a fluke. Next time, worm, you'll pay.
It can be kind of tough to go against cards that have the flight ability because decks like my Albert Wesker, I do have some flight cards, but not a whole lot. And so when you're up against a flight type unit, there's no way of actually blocking it unless you have another flight type unit, especially if they've kind of raised the abilities of that flight type. But that was actually a pretty close match, not bad at all. Might be able to tweak the Albert Wesker deck a little bit, come back with a stronger deck, and see what happens next time. Alrighty guys, so I will see you next time on Tilt Arcade, and probably the next time I make a video, it'll be on another game other than Teppen, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm able to not only cover the games that I like a lot, which are, one of them obviously is Teppen, but to show you guys some other really cool Android games that you could be playing that I think you will really enjoy. Alright guys, until next time, peace out.